In today's world, fear seems to have woven itself into the fabric of daily life for countless people. It's a complex emotion deeply rooted in human nature, originally designed as a survival mechanism. But what was once a response to physical danger has kind of evolved into a constant pressure and presence in people's lives, which has been triggered by a range of modern day societal, economic and psychological pressures. It's all around us, isn't it? There are many reasons why so many people live in fear today, and to understand these reasons sheds light on how fear manifests itself and why it feels so difficult to escape. We're all living in a state of fear. Are you in a state of fear? In other words, are you in a state of anxiety because of the current system of the world? Well, if that's the case, there's a reason for that. And in this video, we're going to find out.
Analyzing the news.
One of the most significant contributions to this fear and anxiety that we're all experiencing, the main contributions is a rapid flow of information, particularly through social media and 24 hours a day news. You cannot turn the TV on without being bombarded with these news cycles, and it's all negative. You never hear good news, do you? Because good news doesn't sell, we all know that. You see, we are bombarded daily with stories of violence, distress, political unrest, climate change and economical uncertainty. While staying informed, it's important to constantly be aware that you are being exposed to negativity and all these negative conditions. All this stuff affects the brain, it affects your brain, and this is how you're perceiving the world, through the information that's being fed to you. In other words, you should be very careful what you're watching on the TV. I'm out with the dog at the moment. Yes, you're thinking, what dog? Where is he? Well, your questions are the same as mine, because I don't know where he is. This is what he does. He sort of disappears. Harley, where are you? I'm sure we'll find him in a second. But anyway, let's get back to this fear. If we're all in a state of fear, which we obviously are, at some degree, we don't want to feel like that. We don't want to feel in this restrictive sense of fear, because when you're in a state of fear, you don't feel that you're in control of your life, because you feel like you can't control external events, which is going to make you very insecure. If you want to control someone, put fear into them. And if we're all feeling this sensation of fear, then what's happening? Then basically we're feeling limited, low vibrational, low energy. Oh, we're in a state of fear. And then we don't feel brave. And when we don't feel brave, we don't want to take action. In other words, we don't want to live our lives. We want to just, it's survival. But the truth is, you need to wake up and remember what's really important. And the thing that's really important is the truth. So what is the truth? What is the truth? And the truth is, fear is not really real when you think about it. Sounds crazy that, but I'm going to explain why. Fear is just an illusion, and we're going to find out and break the psychology behind that emotion that we call fear. And once you understand it, you can get rid of it. Harley! Harley! There he is. Where have you been hiding? So, why do you think the world, especially the UK, is in a state of anxiety and fear at the moment?
Because of the rubbish that they put on the news.
Exactly, the rubbish that they're putting on the news. And when you say rubbish, what do you mean by that?
Somebody's lying, aren't they? Somebody's got to be lying. Just everything's just going up, isn't it? Just trying to scaremonger people.
That's right, it's called scaremongering. And if you don't know what scaremongering is, it's basically, in its simple form, is spreading lies that are going to put fear into people. You see, when you think about it, if you ever experience fear, which you obviously have, and when you do experience it, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel brave and motivated and you want to move forward in your life? Or does it make you feel low and scared and frightened? You don't want to take risks, you just want to play it safe. Well, obviously, when you're in a state of fear, it lowers your emotional prowess, personality, and you feel like you can't express yourself. You just feel timid, weak, and insecure. Now, that's not good news for you, but it's good news for the people who are trying to control you, because like a predator will only attack someone who's weak. If you're weak, you can be controlled. But on the other hand, if you don't feel weak, you feel the opposite, which is the law of polarity. You're not scared, you're not bothered, you're not concerned. People can say what they want, the media can say what they want, people can think what they want about you, and it has no emotional effect on you. You don't care, you're not interested, you're not playing the game. You know who you are, you're confident who you are, and you're not going to let anything stop you from moving forward in life. Once you're like that, you'll start to think. Once you start to think, you'll start to think critically. That means analytically. In other words, you'll question things. And when you do that, you start to see things as they really are. In other words, you're being bullied, mate. We're being bullied. We're being bullied by the media and all these horrific news stories that are being bombarded into our senses, making us feel in a state of unease and lack and limitation. Little me, I've got no power. I've got no power. But the truth is, you've got more power than you know. And if you realise how much power you actually did have, it'd blow your socks off. Stop drinking that water. Come here. Good boy. Yeah, what he does, he drinks little puddles, and he shouldn't do it, but I can't. I'm trying to keep my eye on him all the time, but he tends to, what's the word called? Gallivant. Now think about this. If you had a word with yourself and you decided that you were going to stop, you were going to look at things instead of just absorbing them and accepting them. You were going to look at all this negative news, and instead of digesting it and taking it into your psyche and being emotionally affected by it, you're going to go, wait a minute, let me look at this again. I'm going to make a conscious decision that I choose what's going to emotionally affect me. Instead of being reactive, instead of reacting to any situation or any news that comes into you, what would happen if you simply responded? Instead of reacting, respond. Stay calm, look at it again. Okay, now it loses its power. He's tired now. Aren't you, mate? Been on a long walk. Now, like we said before, while fear feels very real, there's a strong scientific argument that fear, at its core, is just an illusion created by your brain. And here are at least 3 scientific facts that support that fear is an illusion. In other words, it ain't bloody real. Okay, so here's the first one. Fear is a perception created by the brain, not reality itself, because neuroscientists shows that fear is generated by a part of the brain, a function of the brain. Do you know what that part of the brain is? I'm going to leave it with you, because if you research it, you'll find this out yourself. And it is a small part of the brain which is responsible for processing emotional responses. Now, this part of your brain doesn't distinguish between actual physical danger or imagined threats. It doesn't know the difference. It can't separate between the two. It doesn't know what's real and what's not, what's imagined and what's reality. It's like a dream. When you have a dream, you can wake up if it's a nightmare, can't you? Because you don't know that it's not real. So you usually wake up, your brain subconsciously wakes up from that potential threat. So like I say, that's a part of your brain that doesn't know the difference or the dangers between what's imagined threats and what is a real threat. It simply reacts to perceived danger based on past experience, memories, and beliefs. Now, this is really important to know, because here's a fact, you'll like this. It's our brain that is interpreting and often exaggerating potential threats. You can look this up, you don't have to believe me. This is a fact. Then there's another fact that you should pay attention to, which is that fear is often based on predictions of the future, which doesn't even exist yet. Psychology research confirms that most fear is anticipated. That means it's not there, it's not real. And we fear what might happen, not what is happening. This is how your brain works. And the brain's default mode, or the network, which is called DMN, creates mental simulations of future scenarios, many of which never come true. It's the fear of the fear itself, not the actual thing. See, studies on anxiety disorder, which are fear driven, basically fear is another word for anxiety, reveal that vast majority of feared outcomes never materialize. And one large study around this, which was found that there was at least 85% of what people worry about doesn't even happen. This shows that fear is often a mental illusion and not a reflection of reality. See, there's nothing to worry about. Now pay attention, because here's another one. This is a third fact, which is that the physical symptoms of fear can be triggered without any real threat. Experiments in psychological processes and psychology and the inner workings of the mind, all these scientists' research all show that the body responds to perceived threats the same way it does to real ones. So if it's real or it's not real, your brain still responds to it. This is a fact. There's also studies that when people have been given something called a sugar pill, which is just a pill made of sugar, it just looks like it's got some sort of medical power, but it hasn't. It's just a sugar pill. It's a test. They call this sugar pills to see if the effects still work on the brain. And they are told, well, yes, it's a real drug. It will have an effect. And then these people take this sugar pill, not knowing that it's just a sugar pill. And then the behavior changes because they believe that it has some sort of power, when the reality is it's just a sugar pill that has no power. It's the brain that makes the decision. So when people are given these sugar pills but told to expect fear or anxiety experiences, they will literally feel the physical symptoms because they believe it. And so this alone demonstrates that fear can be self-created. It's an illusion, and it is disconnected from external reality. In summary, if the brain is generated by perception, which it is, we see the things as we see our internal dialogue of the world and not reality itself. We don't see things as they are, we see things as we are, right? So our perception is not reality. We know that because people see the world in different ways, right? It's all future based, so it's often built on the predictions that never actually happen, and the body reacts to imagined threats the same way it does to real ones. That means you can worry yourself into fear just by worrying about nothing. And scientifically, this all points to one conclusion, which is fear is largely an illusion. Now, it's powerful, but created by the mind rather than the world. So if you're worrying and you're in a state of fear, don't worry about it, because all that fear, and this is the truth, all that fear is not being caused from external events. It's all being generated by your inner workings of your mind. Once you know this, you can control it. There's nothing to fear but fear itself.